fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
The number one killer of dreams. The number one dream killer. It's just one word. It's something that shows up in the Bible multiple times. It's something that we've all dealt with at one point or another. Many of you are probably dealing with it right now, like today. I've talked about it before in the past with my anxiety. And the word I'm describing here is the word fear. So quick story. Just today, little Action Jackson, he just turned 4 years old. And he was doing a pretty great job on his balance bike. I think most parents want their kids to ride a bike earlier than later. And, we get started around that 3 range with him on one of those balance bike. And if you don't know what that is, it's a bike without wheels. Without any training wheels, but it's so low to the ground that's a way for them to kind of pedal like Fred Flintstone style and just get their balance. And so he did great on that, and we get him his first bike for Christmas. It's got training wheels on it. And pretty quickly realized this dude is got it. From all the time on the balance bike, he was doing a great job. So we take the training wheels off. And I've got one of those little, I don't know what they're called, but it's the handle that it basically straps into the chassis of the bike right where the training wheels are. And the handle is really for the adult, so you're not breaking your back bending over with a small bike. And you hold the handle, and I'm talking about within 5-6 minutes, this dude's got it. I can feel he's got balance. And so I let go for a little bit. And guess what happens? He kind of realizes I'm not holding on anymore, even though he was going straight, and he kind of turns around to kind of face me because he just feels something different. And just kind of felt that my presence, even though he knew I was behind him, that I didn't have my hand on the bar anymore. And the dude literally just freaks out, quick panic attack. And then the handlebar goes right. He goes over the handlebar. So imagine him turning right in the handlebar, and he kind of goes left. He's got forward momentum. He flies over the handlebar. Thankfully, he had a helmet on, but it freaked him out. And so he reverts almost all the way back to going in the bounce bike, with nothing to do with his bike. And is it an adult? Think of how God is probably with us, right? Where he's maybe letting us loose. He knows we can do something, and we let a little bit of fear get in the way, right? Oh my gosh, it doesn't feel the same anymore, and we just kind of freak out, and then revert back to where we were, right? I've done that so many times, looking back over my life, things that now seem kind of simple, but it took me so much longer because I had that fear, maybe fear of being made fun of, or fear, hey, what are my friends or coworkers or even spouses going to think? It's not fun to fail, but yet we need to kind of fail to move forward, to fail forward, if you will. So fast forward now, we're talking, a couple of weeks are going by. He still won't get anywhere near that bike without training wheels. So I finally convinced him to do it today. And we get up there, and I'm using that little thing on the back again, the little handle. So I'm holding him, and he's doing pretty good. And then all of a sudden, he freezes up right when we get around the corner. And I'm like, dude, what's wrong? I'm talking slams on the brakes, puts feet down, and just freaking out. And he's crying. And I'm getting frustrated because I don't know what's going on. I'm like, well, man, you're just doing great. What's going on? You have flashbacks of the time you flipped over the handlebars, and he kind of walks the bike a little bit, and not talking to me, and I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. And then we keep going again. I was like, all right, that was kind of weird. And then we get around the next corner, he does it again, freaks out, stops his feet, won't let me push or do anything, and he's tearing up, he's crying a little bit. And then he kind of pedals a few more feet, and he's kind of ready to, I understand he's ready to go again. So I do this again. And we get in the next corner. He does the same thing again. And I finally like, Jackson, what is going on, dude? I was like, this is supposed to be fun time, not crying. And you're doing great. You're doing awesome, buddy. Help me out. And he finally points down to the drain. I think as kids, I have some memories of maybe being scared of those big drains. I'm talking about the ones on, neighborhoods where, you normally around some of the corners or areas that water might conjugate up, and it's there to take all the excess road water off. And they look kind of intimidating for probably a small kid on a bike. And maybe I don't know, his sisters or someone had told him scary stories about kids falling down there. I have no idea. But he had this massive fear, one, of being flipped over the handlebars, which I get. And two, he was completely flipped out and was literally letting fear overtake him to almost ruining his time biking. And over something kind of simple. And so as I talked him through it, I was like, and we actually got down and looked at it, and I was like, man, see, it's not that scary. And then he finally got over it. And I was like, man, how many times have we done this where God, our Father, is looking down on us knowing we could do something, right? I knew my son could do this. And he was doing it, but yet he would literally slam on the brakes and freak out about something silly because of some fear that he had in the back of his head. And so this is kind of, twofold. One is, don't let fear run your life or even ruin your life like it did for me. If you guys don't know the whole backstory, for approximately 14 years, I suffered from very, very bad panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and it definitely controlled my life. I still got a lot done. I still accomplished a lot, but it was a daily thing, and I ruined some relationships. I missed out on friends' weddings and skipped out on stuff just because of that constant fear that was in my head. And, one of the best things I ever did was I talked about it, just like little Jackson did with me, and finally showed me what he was afraid of. And just talking through it, I don't know that it fixed it completely overnight. He might still look at that and have a little bit of fear down the road, but all of a sudden, the fact that he could tell his dad about it, he could tell his father about it, and we kind of talk through it. And showed him, hey, man, this is not as scary as you're making it out to be. It helped. And the same thing happened with me with anxiety attacks. As soon as I started talking about it in my book, Fishing for Happiness, as soon as I started telling some friends, I realized, wow, other people have had this. And it was like this weight was lifting off my shoulders. And even more importantly, I stopped being afraid of it as much. And now hardly afraid of, having an anxiety attack at all, because it's been many, many years since I've had a full-fledged anxiety attack. So I share that with you. One, as I said, to just share. Anytime that you're having that, share what you're afraid of. Share what's on your mind. Share what potentially holding you back. And then two, when it comes to fear, you've got to face it, just like little Jackson did, just like I had to do with social arenas and different places in my life where the social anxiety was really high. I had to ultimately face it and take action. I think one of the bigger things holding people back is just that fear. And I'm not talking about just fear of anxiety attacks or fear of something in the road when you're riding your bike or your car. I've seen so many people who didn't apply for a job because they're afraid, I'm not qualified for that. Or so many people who have just kind of settled. Settled for a job or settled for a spouse, settled for just anything in life because, maybe I don't deserve that, or this person has this because they're so qualified. What I found, I was very blessed to be in this mastermind group for about 2 years, and it was really high earners, just super successful people in all walks of life. And what was interesting is the majority of people, and these are some people making, or their businesses making at least 8 and 9 figures. These are small businesses. This is not, big corporations. These people who started and were founders of their business. And what was interesting is I got to meet these people over those 2 years. The vast majority of them never even graduated college. The vast majority of these people who had started 8, 9, even some 10-figure businesses never even graduated college. And if they did, the ones who did, it was some college, like community college or something you've never heard of. I don't know that a single person in there, and there's 100 of us, went to Harvard or Yale or Princeton or some of these. And I'm not trying to poo-poo those schools by any means, but my point is they didn't make excuses. They didn't let that fear get in the way with, hey, I can't do this kind of business because, I'm not qualified, or I didn't go to this school. I don't have these connections. I don't have this kind of money. I just thought that was so fascinating that these people just just didn't let fear get in the way. And I know it definitely just corrupted my mind. It held me back from a lot of stuff during those years. I also know that it was for a reason. I know God put me through that so that I could share it with others, so I could help others, and I could see both sides of the fence. Because I know, had I not experienced that, it would be tough for me to even understand what going through an anxiety attack is like. And now I've been able to help tons of people, not just through the podcast and the book, but just people who I've met and kind of shared my story with and heard some of theirs, and some I've witnessed even on airplanes right next to me, and be able to just kind of walking them through it. So I just wanted to share that with you. It was, one of those where watching my son Jackson struggle with it, and me knowing, just like God knows, that we can do this stuff, right? I knew him 100% in my mind he could, and yet he couldn't see it. So ask yourself, what are you doing right now that maybe you're letting fear get in the way of something God wants you to do? What is it right now, today, this week, something that you've always wanted to do? Maybe it's write a book. Maybe it's, quit your job to do something new. Maybe it's to start your own charity, whatever it might be. There's probably a little bit of fear holding you back. And I'm saying that, one, trust, just like I asked Jackson to trust me, that, hey, I'm not going to let go of you, buddy, this time. I'm going to make sure that I have my hand on this 100%. And then two, talk through it. If you have some fears, talk through it and maybe reach out to someone who's done what you're trying to do. And you'll be probably pleasantly surprised that it's not as tough as you thought. I mean, take the whole tackle store that we had. I mean, Luke and I were basically self-sabotaging ourselves forever with this Fish Strong store. We had Salt Strong, we grew it, and it was doing great, and we had all these people asking us to bring tackle, and I was like, oh man, we can't do that. And it's a lot. We don't know the first thing about having a tackle store, fulfilling anything. We've never done anything like it. And, we went and saw a couple tackle stores and met with even a couple of the owners and realized, man, it's not that hard. If these guys can do it, we certainly can. And here we are now, with a 7-figure plus tackle store that we started completely from scratch and never sold any tackle or fulfilled and shipped any tackle in our entire lives. And looking back now, I was like, man, I can't believe we let fear talk us out of doing this for so long. And guess what? All it took was talking about it and getting some actual candid advice and then taking action. That's it. Talk about it and take action. So I hope that helps. I hope this hits the right person or people that needed to hear this today. Maybe just something's been on your mind, something's weighing you down, and you kind of know you want to do it, and you kind of know that God's even maybe whispering you or tugging at you to do something. I'm telling you to go ahead and do it. Have faith. Talk to Him. Pray. And then talk to other people, and then ultimately take action, just like my little boy, Action Jackson. Guys, love you so much. Thank you for all the support, for listening to these Unchurched. I got some really cool things coming up. I can't share with you yet because I want to make sure they get recorded first. But if it goes down the way I think, it's going to be really, really powerful with some really, really powerful guests that are just going to hopefully rock your world and bring some really, really just some really, really cool things into your lives. I will leave it at that. Talk to you on the next episode.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul.